Hello guys, and welcome to another video of Tech and Pics, and as always I am here with another video and a very quick Lightroom tutorial. So the picture is really being overexposed. Of course you see that the sky here, there's going to be little to nothing we can do. There's barely any blue in the sky. We're going to try and work with it. First thing we are going to do before we get into anything else, we are going to remember, as always, to click on that remove chromatic aberration and put it up to about 8 or 9, it doesn't really matter. Even if you put it on 10, it's not really a problem. You'll see that it will remove all the purple fringing from your picture. It'll make it a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more concise. Now let's get directly into editing the picture. Now what I want to do is I want to crop it first, because I want to gather the shot. And this shot, the way it is now, it looks nice, but it's a little bit too far-fetched. Not far-fetched, but it's a little bit too far for my own personal taste. So as you can see here, we have the rulers here, which is the rule of thirds, so which means that you have the subject, and I'm going to put the subject on one of the lines. You can either put it on the top of the line like that, you get a little bit more of the green, and seeing that honestly we're not going to have too much of the, I usually prefer the sky more than the ground, because we will probably not be able to salvage much of the sky. I'm going to get most of the vegetation, at least to get a good sense of depth, good depth of field, or whatever you want to call it. And then let's see how that looks. That looks good. Maybe I want to just crop it just a little bit more to give it that little bit, that pseudo 16 by 9 almost look. It's not really like that. Now, regarding cropping, do not be afraid to crop it freehand, meaning that you don't have to stick to any rules here. As you can see, I just completely cropped that by hand. You don't have to respect any aspect ratios or anything. Just go ahead and do it. Do whatever you see in the picture. Just go ahead and do that. So let's work with the contrast here. Of course, you can see the contrast. We could probably, the exposure. We can lower the exposure down just a tad. You see it just already starts making an overall improvement in the 3D-ness of the picture. Raise up the contrast a little bit, because I love me some contrast. Let's see, lowering the highlights. Let's see what that does. The highlights basically affects mostly the sky, but because there's not really that much sky to work with, because it was just a very thick haze and just white clouds, there's not going to be much sky to work with here. So we will try and make the best out of the situation. So the shadows is what's going to bring out the details in whatever is darker here, and the blacks we will try and make that a little bit more darker there, and that looks much better. Let us raise the clarity up. The clarity will give you this 3D effect, this HDR effect, so it'll almost give you the impression that the photo is manipulated in a 3D fashion. But of course, none of my pictures are manipulated in a 3D fashion. Everything is taken by only my camera and my lens, and of course modified in Lightroom. A lot of people say that, oh, your picture looks like it's fake. The picture is not fake. Of course, everything that you pull out of it, so the greens and the browns and the blues, everything you pull out of it is everything that is captured in the sensor. So the sensor captures these colors and makes the best out of it through this Lightroom manipulation. So don't let anyone ever tell you differently. So the thing about the vibrance and the saturation, the vibrance is it takes the existing colors and it makes them a little bit more vibrant, so a little bit more intense, but only the hues, only the colors. So if you have the green, it brings out that green more. If you have like a red, it does the same with the red. The saturation is completely different. The saturation is it brings up completely the color in the whole general image. So you can go ahead and play with these and see what you think looks best. See, that really just pushes out the, actually that looks really nice there. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to work with the colors and try to separate this little shed from the grass and from the background even more. We're going to go down here, we're going to take a look what else we can pull out with our sliders here. Okay, we want to bring up the darks a little bit, the shadows. See the difference? There you have little to no detail in that hut, and there it's actually much clearer. So far so good. We're going to come back to that, and now we're going to take a look at the colors. Now the hue, I want a more dark for the green. Sorry about that. For the green, I want a little bit more darker, intense green. So just like that, maybe a little bit more yellowish. That looks perfect. And I want to take a look at this in the background because this really looks like, see what I can do to separate it from. That looks good. Let's try and get into the hut here and let's see if we can just, okay, it obviously seems that the hut has the same type of color scheme as the background here. So by manipulating the colors here of the hut, you're going to start manipulating the color of the background also. But that's fine, that's not a problem. We can, it still separates it enough. So now we are in the saturation. So this is the intensity of the color you have chosen. So let us take a look at the green here. Go in the opposite direction. Okay. So this gives it a green, more greener effect. This really separates the image. It's starting. You see, it's starting to separate. You have the foreground, then you have. I don't know if this would also be considered foreground, and then you have the background here. It's really separating. It's giving it a sense of depth, which is good, which is exactly what we're looking for. So right there, that's good because the saturation obviously is separate enough that it was able to divide now this background layer here and separate the hut from the foreground and the background, which is good because that's exactly what I was trying to look for. And if you're not able to achieve this by moving the sliders like the contrast or the exposure or the set or the highlights or the darks, always know that colors are your friend, and the colors can give you enough of that push to bring out really the levels in the picture, to give you that 3D effect. And that is exactly what I was aiming for. That's exactly what I was trying to look for. I aimed for that and I got that exactly. And that looks perfect. That really looks really nice. Now I'm going to go back up to my levels here and see if there's anything else that I can maybe give it a little bit more of a distinct look. If you go like this, you wash it out all again and everything just starts mixing together. That's not what we want. We want to, let's see, on the average it was this one here. So let's bring a little bit more into the blue, just one notch into the blue. That looks great. Bring up the exposure just one notch. Let's see what this does. And so you see what happens when the vibrance, it takes the existing colors and it makes them nice and vibrant, whereas the saturation does something completely different. What we want to do is we want to keep this look here. I'm really digging this look right now. And now we go on to the detail. The detail is going to be the next level that will make or break your picture. And of course, I like my pictures to be really sharp. I like them sharp to the point where if I want to go in there on a pixel peep, I just want to make sure that there's not that much noise. That actually looks really good. That looks really good. So I probably will apply a very, like just 10, just on the number 10 as far as noise reduction is concerned. Not too much, not too little, and the sharpening I actually could go up just a little bit more of a nudge up on the sharpening. That actually looks really nice. Let's see what it looks like up close. I would say that is really nice. What's missing here is an overall dark contrasty tone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shadows, which affects the whole picture. I'm just going to bring it down just a little bit till you get that little bit of a contrast in the details of everything. And everything seems that it's fitting into place. I usually don't touch the tint, but for the sake of trying things out, I'm going to take a look and see what it does. Okay, so I'm going to leave out the tint because I do not like the look it was giving me at all. And I would say I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it like that. And maybe I can add a little bit of a vignette. Not too much, not too little, just enough where you see it gets a little bit dark here in the corners here, on the corners here, and on the bottom here, which creates even more of a 3D effect, and it gives focus to whatever's in the center of the image. So in the center of our image, we have our little hut here. And this is exactly what I want to focus on. I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to go any further because I think that picture is ready to upload. That is upload worthy. Now, guys, as always, if you enjoyed this video, share it. If you enjoy it, if you know someone who's in a situation who really wants to make their picture stand out, every little detail, and has questions that they need answering, send them to my videos. If they have a question, if you have a question watching me at home, leave it in the comment section below, or leave it on any of my social media pages that I will post a link in the description. So guys, that is it for me, and I am Carl from Tech and Pics, and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like this channel.